Thanks so much for being here with us. This is another episode of Appalachia Works at BizSource, and we're talking to Rick West. Rick, thanks for joining us today.
Cindy, it is my pleasure. I've been looking forward to this. So I'm pretty excited about our talk.
Well, good, because I'm always excited to learn new things, and I know I'm going to learn in talking to you. So I'll let you, rather than me asking, you just explain right now the organization that you represent.
Yeah, today we're here to talk about Blue Gem Capital, which is an investment fund that's focused on not necessarily just funding businesses or opportunities in Eastern Kentucky, but in funding them in a way that's truly investing in that significance of people and places and opportunities here in Eastern Kentucky. So you've got 12 individuals that have all put their money in, have a ton of contacts here, and we're putting our heads together to say, how can we help fund opportunities, entrepreneurs that are looking for an opportunity, and for some legacy businesses that are here, how do we keep that talent and that business in Eastern Kentucky?
That's a wonderful mission to set out for. And I'm excited about it because the whole point of this podcast is to talk about and to shed light on good things that are happening here that most people don't know about. How new is this?
Well, we have just completed, I'll say 90% of our funding toward the end of 2025. And so we probably have another couple of shares or we're engaging folks. And so it's very new. As a matter of fact, we have yet to make our first investment, but we're very, very close.
Oh, exciting.
So we're meeting tonight. We've got 4 potential opportunities in front of us. And so I would think in the next quarter, you're going to see 1 to 2 strategic investments, primarily in the coal counties in this Eastern Kentucky, Western West Virginia, Northern Virginia, kind of that coal belt. You're going to see us making some really fun, exciting investments here in the next quarter.
Well, that could be very powerful because you talk about a region that needs it right now.
Yes.
We do. And I think a lot of people, again, who live here and also the people who will watch and listen to this podcast who are not from here will be surprised to learn there is an initiative like this in place.
Right. And it's not a grant. Okay, it's not a donation, it's an investment. And I think that's one of the core things that people don't understand, especially if you haven't lived in the VC private equity and angel investment world. You're thinking, well, just give me some money and I can go do this idea. Well, that's not the objective here. The objective is to really look at that talent that we know that's here in Eastern Kentucky with an idea that can scale, whether it be a 3-state scale or a global scale. And how do you invest, not donate? And so there's not a little nuance. It's a big chasm between just giving someone money because it's interesting, which becomes an expensive hobby, versus investing in someone that really is a business moving forward. And that's what we're focused on here, is really coming alongside folks that have businesses that we can help grow and scale.
So is there an expectation then that there will be a return on the investment?
It is. The good news for the folks that are here, we're looking at this capital as capital that's going to be renewable in the region. So that being said, a classic private equity VC firm would want to take that capital, go on somewhere else. We've had handshake agreements, if you will. Our objective here is to do Fund 1, and then the profits from that go in and fund Fuel Fund 2, then Fund 3, et cetera. So we do expect a return because it's an investment. It's not a handout. That being said, there will be businesses that won't succeed, and that's okay because we know it's an investment. But what's more important is that significance part. It's how do you really focus on the people, the businesses that are here so that we can scale them. And then as that equity comes back into the fund, we want to take that and repurpose it again and again. So it's kind of a flywheel effect that we hope to see here in Eastern Kentucky.
Sounds like machinery that will work. That they just get those gears turning. That's wonderful. Yes. So how did this come to be? This doesn't sound, and I'm just telling you from my perspective, I don't know that I'm aware of any other organization doing anything like this. I'm sure there may be somewhere else, but I don't know about it.
So I'm going to use the word patriarch here. You think of the kind of the patriarch, Lynn Parrish, Rusty Justice. I've known them for a few years. And everyone's looking for a structured way to give back. And so it was kind of their idea to bring people together, like-minded people, in an organized way so that you didn't have 12 individuals trying to invest and help companies. And so that started about a year or so ago. And it took a while to get all the right folks together to say a concerted effort might be the most logical way to make this work. And so I really appreciate the groundwork they put together and all the time that they put in to really bring this thing to fruition.
Okay. Well, again, I understood there was originally some organizational effort at SOAR. Is that right?
That's correct. Originally, it started out with you've got a nonprofit organization here that's focused on a kind of 3 tiers as well. How do you bring work in? How do you train workers? And how do you work with entrepreneurs? And I happen to be the entrepreneur in residence for SOAR on the innovation side, which is still entrepreneur driven. But what you start to realize is that while you are cousins, sometimes the cousins don't get along so well when you look at nonprofit versus investing. And as a private business guy that understands investing, you have a different lens to look at businesses as opposed to a nonprofit, even though you might get to the same place. And so because of that, SOAR came in, helped put the structure together, but really realized their focus was more on the nonprofit side versus the investment side. So we're still cousins, engaged, live in different households, and we get along, but we realized pretty quickly it was best that we be a little bit separate in what we're doing.
An analogy would be, I heard growing up, cousins are the brothers and sisters you don't live with.
There you go. There you go.
Does that
and
work?
You do family reunions for 3 days, not 7.
Right.
It's the exact same analogies come in. So I appreciate the years-long amount of work between those organizations. And the good news for us, Sydney, is that everyone wants to do the right thing. So everyone's focused on this area and growing and investing. We just have different approaches, and I think you need 2 different approaches.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about how you said you were close to making a first investment, for example. How would someone, what's the criteria? How does someone or an organization submit an idea or a problem or whatever?
Yeah, the good news is, and we'll have this as part of the listing. You can go to our website, and there's a simple link. We've partnered with the Appalachian Investment Association, that is a consortium of about 8 different funds from Pennsylvania down to the Carolinas. And they do the paperwork, the structure, do the initial vetting. And so there's a very simple application process to go through. And once you go through that, there's then kind of like a pre-vet, and then that comes to us. Now, that being said, you have kind of like friends and family. If you know someone, you can get involved. What we've told folks is that even though we may know you and we can vouch for you, you've got to go through this process, because everyone has to understand there's some hurdles you have to go through, but they're not very big, but there are some hurdles. I think the second thing is, if you're saying, could I approach Blue Gem? Could I really engage in a way that they're going to invest in me? I often tell folks is that expensive hobbies are really, really hard to invest in. Okay? So it's more than just an idea. So we're not just the idea guys and we're going to go fund something. We're looking for some folks that have a legit idea that may not be profitable, but has some revenue, or at least at the point where they've got a paid pilot of some sort that shows that you're solving a real problem. And if we can come alongside someone that has the skill set, the tenacity to be an entrepreneur, and we can see that they're solving a problem, that's a sweet spot for us. On the other end of things, as we're talking about the type of folks we're looking at, you may be a general manager of an HVAC or a plumbing business, and the owner's getting ready to retire, and you're like, gosh, if I just had the right funding, I could employ 8 more plumbers and keep this thing going. And so that's another opportunity that's coming in. So it's not just entrepreneurs with a great idea. It can also be a consistent business, because we want to drive talent and solutions together, and we want to keep that work and the profitability here, because we want to create wealth for the next generation here in Eastern Kentucky.
Okay. So if you know of a problem and you think you know how to solve it, but you're going to need some investment.
Yes.
Or if there is, say, a legacy business, for lack of a better word, that might be coming to the end of its tenure, and you're already involved and you think this might be something you could buy. Is there another avenue?
Well, I think the other avenue, there are times that you're going to say that I know that I could do this. I just need the right idea. And that's through connections that we have here, because you just know people in the area. So we're trying to connect them as well to solutions that have to be, or solutions for problems. So that's a little bit more nuanced. But there are times you're saying, I know I could do this. I just need that idea. And you'd be surprised through the connections of the people in this fund is like, wait, here's a great problem to solve. I just need the right piece of talent or the right person who can make that happen. So that's kind of the nuanced one in the middle. So ideas to legacy, but sometimes we're just matching talent.
It's an amazing idea to put this whole thing together. And I said we're going to shed light on good news and good things that are happening. This is great news.
Well, we think it's great news. And what's important to us, again, it gets back into that legacy piece. Anyone can give out money and hand out money. It's hard to invest money, especially for that next generation, and then to invest it in a significant way. And so you have to have processes in place and really understand what you're doing, because those investment dollars are few, but man, they could really change lives and they can really change communities. So that's really what we're focused on here. And that's the exciting part about this.
On another level, I know we talked about, so if somebody wanted to submit an idea or a situation, just go to the website.
Right.
What is the website?
The website for us would be bluegymcap.com.
Okay, thank you. What if somebody out there watching or listening is like, I'd like to help these guys. I'd like to help them do this. Is there an opening for that?
I think it's the exact same way. They could reach out there. They can go to rick.west@bluegymcap.com.
Okay.
Send me a note as well. Again, the fund is getting ready to close, so there's a small window, but we hope as we bring dollars out and bring dollars back in, we'll start looking at Fund 2. But we would never say no to the right person that has a heart for Eastern Kentucky and understands what it's like to invest, not donate. Again, there's a ton of places
that will
for
donate.
nonprofits that you can donate, and that's not what we're here for. We really are bringing investment dollars and that philosophy into the area.
Well, what I like about that too, it's so specific in that nature. And is there anybody else doing anything quite like it?
Not really. You'll see some high net worth individuals that are investing here, and you'll see several state-run funds. Key Horse Capital is a great example. They're investing in startups here, but it's state money that's coming in, and it's just a little bit different.
Okay.
And it's a much broader footprint across the state of Kentucky. I think where we're a little bit unique is that we understand that while we might be a little bit tribal between states and counties, we are in this together. And so I appreciate really where Lynn and Rusty have helped me understand that this coal community does touch across into Virginia, West Virginia. While we talk about Eastern Kentucky all the time, just because our neighbor is across that line doesn't mean that we're not going to focus. So I appreciate that. So I don't know of any other nuance like that that's focused. You could find a place in Pennsylvania or North Carolina that's doing something similar, but we're pretty unique to this area.
I was going to say, to this area, probably the unicorn.
Really are, yeah.
Well, it is a very exciting project. And right at the genesis of it, you're getting to tell people about it. So that's really powerful, I think.
Well, I think it is. And what we want people to understand is that this is just the beginning. It's not just a one-time thing. This is going to take time. It's not going to happen in 3 months. We're going to be having this conversation, hopefully a podcast a year from now and 2 years from now, looking at the trajectory and also looking at how you begin to build some wealth and some legacy business that are here, which is going to be really, really fun. I think the other aspect of that is that just because it doesn't make sense for you today doesn't mean it's not going to make sense for you tomorrow. So it really is kind of the long run. We see students at UPike coming out that may not have the idea today, but 2-3 years from now, they're in the workforce and they come up with an idea and said, wait a minute, I heard Rick talking about this opportunity, or I was with Jared Arnett in an entrepreneurial class, and they can always come back in. So we're here for the long haul. We're here. We're from this area, and it's important for us to really have that kind of legacy from a long-term perspective.
You know, I should have done this when we started, but you just said we're from here. Where are you from? Who's your people? We always have to ask that in Appalachia.
Who are my people?
Yeah.
So I grew up in Eastern Kentucky. I went to Belfry High School. Grew up in New Camp, a little holler up ahead of New Camp. My mom's side of the family grew up in Martin County. If you've ever been to Martin County and Flutie Lick, she's the Fluties from Flutie Lick. And my dad is right there on West Road, right in Canada, Kentucky. And so that's my family growing up there. My grandparents were coal miners. My dad was a railroader. And my brother, who's my hero, my younger brother, has been working at the coal mines now for like 25, 30 years. He works for Coronado Coal. And so he's still in the mines today.
Okay.
So my folks are still here. When I come back into the area, I stay in the house that I grew up in Eastern Kentucky and get to stay with my mom, which is so cool.
Yeah, you're bona fide.
Absolutely.
That's what we've
I tell people at home, I said, I can speak Appalachian. I
Yeah.
really understand, and I can interpret, and I can make it happen. A funny aside, my brother, I'll make him listen to this. He'll introduce me, and the first thing he'll say is, well, this is my brother, Ricky. And people are like, I didn't know you had a brother. I'm like, oh, man, come on. And then he'll say, Ricky, talk like a city boy for me. And so he'll make me, I've lost a little bit of my accent, make me talk like a city boy. So I've been, out for a bit. I worked in the corporate world for 17 years, worked in Asia for 3, and then I've been an entrepreneur in Northwest Arkansas for about 25 years. But this is the part that if you think of the romance of coming back, this is just, it just ministers to me. And it's been so much fun to be able to come back into the area and to be able to have a platform, both as an entrepreneur with SOAR and from an investment standpoint here with Blue Gem, that I can actually give back. And it's been so much fun.
I can tell you're gratified by that.
Oh, very much so.
Can you tell me a little, because it sounds like there's bound to be an interesting story here and how you got from Belfry to, you said Asia and then Arkansas. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So I put everything I owned in my Jeep and I drove to the University of Kentucky, and through relationships. And I think that's important, especially when I'm talking to people of a younger generation, to understand that I've never interviewed for a job my entire life. From the state electric supply job to the interview with Procter & Gamble, I was referred. And so I go to the University of Kentucky and I get a job with Procter & Gamble, and I had no idea what P&G did. This was before the internet. And this is just, back in the day. And through relationships, got a job there, and then worked in Cincinnati and Florida, a couple other places. My wife and I both worked for Procter and had an opportunity for an international assignment. And so lived in Hong Kong for 2 years and did ASEAN work. So from Philippines, Japan, all this area, all the way down to New Zealand, was just traveling, working primarily with multinationals coming into Asia. So working with the Walmarts, the Carrefours of the world coming into those markets. Left Hong Kong after a couple of years and went to Bangkok. And then in the midst of that assignment, the company was looking for about 2,000 or 3,000 volunteers to take a separation package. And my wife and I raised our hands because we always wanted to be entrepreneurs. And we used the money, and this is important for listeners, we used the money from our package not to travel Europe, okay, not to buy a car. We used the money from that package as angel money for our company. So we took the cash from that, joined 2 other people, and the 4 of us used Procter & Gamble package money as an angel investor and started a business in Northwest Arkansas, primarily so that we could do the work we were doing with Procter with vendor teams that were selling into Walmart. So I live about 30 minutes south of this little retailer called Walmart.
Heard of them.
There's about 1,800 vendor teams that are there, and everyone wanted to operate like Procter. And so we came in and made that happen. And then around 2009, this iPhone thing came out. My wife was running a research company, and we wanted to use technology with an iPhone and realized that no one was using the iPhone to capture data at retail. Okay, the business model was to open an app and to click on an ad. And so we started working nights and weekends. I was running 5 LLCs. We worked nights and weekends, and we launched the first app in iTunes that paid cash. The first one that used that geo-fencing, that work to come back. Got rid of some LLCs, sold one and acquired one, and then was with Field Agent for about 15 years as a co-founder and CEO there. Did a Series A and a Series B. We operate in 6 other countries, and just got to the point where, as we were growing, needed to bring other talent in. And so I stepped back as chairman of the board, and that's what I'm doing, no longer the CEO, and was trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And my wife asked me to say no for 6 months to everything. And then out of nowhere, there was an opportunity for the entrepreneur in residence. I hit Rusty pretty quick. He said, "You'd be great for that. We got to get you back in here." And the rest has been history. It's like a dream role for me right now.
That's great.
That's a long story as to how I got to
it was a good one, though. It was a good story.
But it allows me to engage people here to say, whether you're in corporate America or whether you're doing entrepreneurship or you're just a kid working in a mining supply place, all these are skill sets you can use that really prepare you for that next role that you're going to have, which could be running a business, starting a business, or creating a product.
Which takes us back to where we began, right? Blue Gym Capital.
Yes.
And I know in my Appalachian accent, I'm saying blue gym like it's a gymnasium, but it's gym. And tell me where that name comes from.
We were looking for, our first name was a little bit confusing, but that's okay. It was hard. It was a mouthful. But we're looking for something that'd be unique to the area we're in. And there's a type of coal that's blue gem, GEM. You should Google that and take a look at it if you're listening to this. But it's very, very unique to this area. It is kind of a hint of blue. And so it gave us all the things we were looking for. It's unique to what we're doing. It gives us that lineage or heritage back into coal, which is really, really important. But it's not that the plentiful coal is the bad thing, but we wanted to be unique. And so that uniqueness of blue gem kind of felt good about the things that we're doing. And it was easy for us to rattle off pretty quick and say BGC or Blue Gym Capital.
Yeah, I like it. And it makes a lot of sense. I mean, talk about linking the heritage.
Right.
What have we not touched on that people would be surprised to know about this project?
I think what they'd be surprised to understand is that these aren't $1,000 donations. If you've never worked in the VC world or private equity world, to understand, we're looking at investing $25,000, $50,000, $100,000. So these are significant investments in companies. It's not a $5,000 grant, and not that you couldn't do this, but we're not going to do a hackathon and do a pitch contest at a pizza thing and get $500. This is real money. And so when people look at this, you're like, oh yeah, I can kind of understand it. I said, I don't think you do. These are private equity dollars that are coming into this market. And as this fund goes, you can imagine fund 2, now you're writing a $200,000 check or $250,000. So that's the part that I think has surprised people when I'm talking to them, because they're like, oh, I thought you were like those guys that would write a couple $1,000 check. I'm like, no, this is different money because we have a different expectation. And we're going to come alongside and we're going to sit on your board and we're going to help you grow. And we're going to accelerate you and we're going to grow and scale your business. And part of that is education, is understanding what that really means. And I think the other aspect of it is it's just surprising, and to the point where people are like, I just never thought I could ask for that. Right. I never thought I would be worthy of someone. And we need to change that, Cindy. It's everyone is worthy. If you've got the right idea and the skill set, why wouldn't we invest in someone here? And as a flyover state conversation, we are the flyover of flyover states. Okay, because people might fly over and stop in Nashville. They might stop in Louisville. They might stop in Lexington. They're probably not stopping here in Pikeville, but we are, because we know it's important. And it's significant dollars for the right thing and the right reason.
And it's important. I know you've said it, but I just want to go back to it because it's so important to say the individuals who've come together to do this have done what they've done and achieved what they've achieved independently and privately.
Absolutely.
Not with the government's help, not as a nonprofit. And that is a special breed. And that's the breed that we're looking to help. Am I right?
Well, yes, it is. And so part of it is we don't want everyone to think, oh, if I don't work really hard and bootstrap this, then there is a rite of passage to that bootstrapping concept. But I think what's important is that for each one of us, whether we're talking to again, Woody or Chris or Land or us, whoever we're talking to in this group, they all have stories of when someone had believed in them. Now, it may not have been a check, but as someone that said, I know you have the talent, I'm going to believe in you, I'm going to help. In today's world, capital is necessary to help at times, because we're not sitting here with 50 different coal companies where people have cash and they can help them. It's kind of dried up, if you will. And so the folks that are here can tell stories of when someone believed in them, and they can tell stories of what that looked like and how important it was that someone looked them in the eye and said, I believe in what you're doing. I'm going to come alongside with you. I'm not just a check writer, and I'm going to help you go do that. So that's been really cool when you think of the folks that are part of this fund, because they all get it. No one on this fund is a check writer. They're all vested and invested in the area. They've been there before, and we all have personal connections. It's important to us that this succeed.
So we're going to throw that website up on the screen, but for those who are just listening, because this is both ways, Again, the website
Go
is
to bluegemcap, BLUEGEMcap.com, and they'll be able to find everything they need to know about us. And again, you could find us, hit me on LinkedIn. I'm Rick West on LinkedIn. You can always connect there if you want to talk to me personally. And if you're driving around Eastern Kentucky, you'd be surprised who's hanging around BitSource. There might be a few folks hanging around here that would love to have a conversation, but we're available. Obviously, SOAR's the same way, especially for those people that have an idea, they're not ready for investment yet. SOAR's the perfect place to start out because they have tools, they have people to come alongside them. They can help you, or we can help you do a business plan to figure things out. And then when you're ready, people like us can come alongside and help you go to that next level.
You can't buy that.
No,
that's
you can't.
Invaluable.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I love that when we talk about this podcast, Appalachia works at BitSource. This is something that's going to work for Appalachia big time.
It is. And what we look at hindsight all the time, right? I wish I had this rearview mirror and I could really understand. I can already tell you, because I've lived it, this type of focus and this type of investment is going to change, I won't say necessarily a generation, but it's going to change a group of people here that will change the next generation. And that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
You've got the mountains, the beauty, all the things you're looking for. And it's great to have a job, and you need to have W-2 jobs, but you also need to have people that have companies that can employ people that are W-2.
Yes.
And so we're the folks that are, what does it look like when you have a K-1? If you don't know what that is, Google that too. We'd love to have some K-1s here of some LLCs that are really making this thing work so that we have employment, so we can change that next generation.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh,
this has been very enlightening, and I bet we've really opened up some eyes and ears who have gone, wow, had no idea. That's the whole purpose. So
that is the whole purpose of this, and I look forward to having a deluge of people asking, how can we get involved, both from a funding standpoint and what does it look like if I was trying to take the next step?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you for having me today.
Oh, thanks for being here. It was a pleasure.
My pleasure.